So, welcome to Make It Rain Boot Camp. This is week number 2. We're going to be focusing a lot on structure and on not hero coaching, which might sound like a couple of maybe boring things, but some really, really important things to learn about. We do have a special guest tonight. She's going to come on and talk about how she's kind of implemented structure in her business and how that's really helped her as a new and really growing coach. She's doing really well and helping a lot of people already. In addition to that, just kind of a reminder, next week will be our last boot camp. So we were just going to do 3 weeks, some hardcore, like extra trainings, just to make sure that everybody knows the Monday night boot camps that are now like Optavia wide. They're not really boot camps, they're trainings that follow Dr. Anderson's call. The one last night was amazing. Doug and Tia Wood led that, and they really gave some basic things, but also some action steps to really get you into motion and to help you build your business. So if you haven't gotten a chance to see that, check out the recording. It might not be out yet. I haven't seen it out yet, but there's a live stream that you can get. So get up with your business coach and they can get a hold of that for you. But it is definitely worth checking out. Let me make sure I got everybody muted here. Okay, so let's do this. Boot camp is going to start. I got some slideshows, of course. You know I love a slideshow. So I'm going to get that pulled up. Let me get everybody muted again. There we go. I'm going to get that slideshow pulled up, and we are going to dive in. So this week, we are... Come on, computer. Here we go. All right. Let me do this real fast. Can everybody see the slideshow? Thumbs up? Yes. Okay, good. So this week we're doing No Coach Left Behind, which kind of just came to me, but now I think about it, if you're in at least the North Carolina place, most of you are, or either from here, this No Child Left Behind thing was like a school thing, but I didn't quite intend it that way, but it kind of fits because what our intentions here is to really help you build structure so you don't feel left behind, or you don't feel like you have learned what you need to learn to be successful moving forward. Because I can tell you, when you are a new coach and you're coaching just a handful of clients, structure might not be as important. But as you continue to grow your business and you start bringing on 10, 15, 20 clients, start having coaches, structure is paramount for you to be able to continue to grow the kind of business that you want to grow. Oh, hold on. All right. Now, you don't want to be a superhero. So if anyone in here is familiar with the drama triangle, that's what I am referencing here. If not, just Google or go on YouTube, look up drama triangle. And it talks about a victim, a villain, and a hero. We get into a lot of habit stuff of being a hero, especially as a coach, because a lot of our personalities coming into this as coaches are that we want to help people. We want to really awaken them to what's possible. We want to show them there's a better life, and we want to help, bring them up, and most of us have had a health journey coming into this, or are on our health journey when we start coaching. So we are like, come on, get on the health journey with me. And sometimes you have these people that are on that kind of victim mentality and life's happening to them. And you're like, you can do this, you can do this. And then you start trying to figure out ways to help them come up. And we have to be careful of that hero mentality and of trying to, pull clients along. So be very careful of that. The reason I say this, what is your relationship before Optavia with the client coach? One really important part of our structure is team coaching. And so this is something I had to learn myself as we've kind of grown through this business, but adding that layer of support with your business coach, with your mentor line, somebody that is they got a little bit more experience than you have in the business. Not that they're better than you in any way, but they maybe had their foot in the door, a little bit before you did with Optavia. When you add that layer, it's actually helping you not to be so much of a hero coach, because you're falling back into that structure that we teach. where you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be the superhero. You don't have to be the resource for your client. You are learning to build that support around the person and learning from your mentor how you ask questions instead of give answers. And there's a huge difference between that. So, if you haven't done this yet, it's okay. This is not a whiplashing. This is, consider doing this moving forward. And I promise, if you start implementing these things, it will grow your business and it will help you help more people, whether you want to grow your business or not, which most of you I'm sure do. But whether your heart is to help more people, this is the way. This is the structural piece of that. And it takes you out of that hero coach mentality. So on your group messages, especially as a new coach, your first 5 clients, you're wanting to have a group message with your business mentor so they can help you answer those questions. Your journey kickoff call, if you're brand new, you don't even know how to do a journey kickoff call. And that's okay. Like, lean into your mentorship. Your week 1 tip call, etc. All these things, if you're doing them for the first time, just always think in your mind, you should not be doing them alone, right? If you're the first time doing this with a new client, you shouldn't be doing it alone. If it's your first time doing this with a new coach, you shouldn't be doing this alone. If it's your first time doing it with an experienced client or a coach that's been coaching for months, but you still have never done it before, grab a mentor and do it together. That's what your mentors are here for. Last thing with this one is, are you coaching by memory instead of structure? So this is what I was talking about earlier. When you have a handful of clients, you probably can coach them from memory. You have enough skills that you brought into this to be able to go, okay, I know so-and-so's on day 1, so-and-so's on day 3, so-and-so's at week 1. You can remember that for like 4 or 5 people possibly. But when I'm telling you, when you get 15 people, 20 people, you're not going to be able to remember that. And people are going to fall through the cracks. And that hurts when you're the person that fell through the crack. It might not be the end of your journey, but it still hurts. So structurally coaching equals freedom, in part, and a huge part, because it resolves you trying to be a hero coach. So think of it this way, and this is how I am. So I'm going to stop here for a minute. I am naturally like this entrepreneur. Like, I love to create things. I love to make new things. I love to collaborate on things and really get things done. So I have that entrepreneurial spirit in me even when I was a nurse. So I naturally resist structure. And I thought that was just part of who I was and I didn't need to change. But I've learned through this business that you have to implement that back in, because that is what's necessary. And I thought it was so cool when I was studying this, really to try and empower you guys, that an entrepreneur does naturally resist structure. So if you naturally resist structure, put a 1 in the chat just to see like where we're at with everybody. But it's because, at least with me, I know, and a lot of people, that it's because I hear structure and I think of a cage. I think of somebody constraining me. I think of somebody trying to tell me what to do. And really, structure isn't that. It's just what we perceive it to be. Because structure truly is the bones that support our wings and gives us the ability to really fly. We'll talk more about this later, but I just want you to try to start changing your mindset of how you think about structure. Structure is the way forward. Structure is not someone trying to tell you what to do. Structure is following the system. So as entrepreneurs or as creative people, like a lot of us are, we are tempted to modify the system and try to do it our own way. And I can tell you right now that there is magic in you replicating what we do versus just doing the exact same thing, but still working within the system, still taking the system, the structural pieces from that, and then making it work. So resist that temptation to really modify the system, and know that the things that we ask as your business coaches and the things that we ask as your mentors is because they've been done 100 times before us. And we're just trying to reteach those things. And a lot of it might be uncomfortable at first. A lot of it might not feel natural to you because you do resist structure, or because you're scared, or you have some kind of concept. But that's okay. When you start realizing that these things are here to actually benefit your clients, and really to help you help more people, then you start leaning into them and you don't have as much of an issue with that, mindset. So once again, the night before message, the journey kickoff call, those are kind of standard, like don't deviate from that. Like get your support person on there and do it with them if you haven't done that before. And then watch your system. So really start looking at your system, because this is laying the structure for how you coach. Are you doing the daily messages days 1 through 8? Calling that client 2 to 3 times that week. Your client support days after week 1. Do you have a couple of days set aside structurally, like in your schedule, to do your client support? Specify a day each week for follow-up, and truly the busier you are, like a lot of people are still working part-time jobs, full-time jobs as health coaches. These pieces are so much more important because you have to have that structure the busier you are to help keep you on task and to help keep you very intentional with your work. So this was me, so I'm talking to myself some, but I know this speaks to some of y'all. Resist the temptation to work on the fly all the time. And I know there's some times in your life where your schedule changes and maybe your day that you usually do client support is on Tuesday, but this past Tuesday you had a really big event and you were not able to do it the way you like to. The next day you just trying to work on the fly, trying to catch up. That's okay. But typically what you want is these rocks and blocks. And so if you're not familiar with rocks and blocks, a rock in your schedule is something that comes up every week. So like your Monday night coach calls, your Wednesday night habits of health calls, your team times with your mentorship. Looking at also like boot camps, so like this one right now, or if there's another boot camp that you're doing, put those rocks in your schedule. Those don't move. Like they're the same times or they repeat over and over for an amount of time. Go ahead and put those on your calendar. So when you're scheduling health assessments or, possible follow-up calls or all that stuff, you're not interfering with these rocks, because the rocks are what you want to build your foundation on. And then blocks. The blocks are your time blocks. So are you blocking that, client support day? Are you blocking a follow-up day? Like me, I have follow-up Friday. So on Friday, I sit down and go over a list of all my potential clients, all my not yets. And I review that and I follow up with them in some way, either through text message or private messenger, or going on their Facebook and being very intentional about commenting on their posts or interacting with their posts, whatever. That's being intentional. And we are a team, so let's coach that way, right? So why do we have a team coaching model? As a new coach, your main responsibility would be to help awaken people to health and hope. Not be a resource, but instead a guide. So a lot of times what happens is you think you're the resource, but then you don't know the answers to these questions, or you feel inadequate. And when you feel inadequate, then you don't coach, or you stay in the thinking space and you don't move into the doing space. And it's so important that you do think, but then you proceed to doing. Who is the resource? You have nutrition support, we have behavioral support, we have doctors, nurses, etc. We have all these resources that are actually the resource. They're paid by Optavia to help. So lean into those people, because what ends up happening is if a client asks you a question you don't know the answer to, then you spend all this time trying to find the answer instead of asking your coach where you find the answer or if they know the answer. And what ends up happening is you get confused about what you need to be doing. And guess what? A confused mind, it does nothing. So team coaching, it actually demystifies how we interact with potential clients, potential coaches, and new coaches. And then again, it adds that other layer of support for them. And it's so important to have that, because no one is a prophet in their own town. And what we mean by that is going back to, the question I asked on the first slide. What was your relationship before you started coaching that person? If they were your family member prior to, they're probably seeing you as a family member and not opt to be a coach. If you were really good friends before, they're probably seeing you as a really good friend and not necessarily they're opt to be a coach. So it's so important to have that layer come in that then is able to, build you up and to really validate you as a coach and help them see you now as an Optavia coach and not just a family member or a friend, right? So this is just kind of a visual representation, because I know a lot of people are visual. I wanted you to see. So obviously the house on the left is not a good structure. That is a terrible foundation. That house is crumbled all to pieces. So what does that look like in real world for us as Optavia coaches? They're not integrated. There's no team coaching. There's no system in place for client or coach support, and they have no rocks and blocks in their schedule. So I don't know about you, and maybe put a 2 in the chat if you would rather have the house on the right, because first of all, that house is gorgeous, but it's also a fully integrated coach who embraces team coaching, uses a tracking system for client and coach support, and uses a calendar for structure. And you time block and you prioritize things. And I know, like, if some of y'all, once again, are like me and you're like, that sounds like someone's planning my life. Yes, it is a little bit of planning, but you'll see once you start planning actually gives you more freedom because you are being very intentional in the time that you've planned to be intentional. But then you get to not have to do that stuff while you are not in that block of time. And that sets you free mentally to go, okay, I have a block of time from, 2 to 4 p.m. on Saturday to do client support. Well, guess what? The rest of the day, you're not doing it. You know what I mean? And as opposed to that, when I first started coaching, I didn't have some time set aside on Saturday to kind of handle issues. So what did I do? I did it all day, on and off, on and off, on and off. And I can tell you right now that your spouse isn't going to love that. Your kids aren't going to love it. So be intentional and block those times off. Cool. All right, now Paige Easton is going to come on and share about some structural stuff she's learned. She is a certified Optavia coach, like I said, with Lindsay Bard's team and really growing a great business. So I wanted to bring her on and have her talk about her structural stuff. So are you off mute?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. I'm going to stop sharing. Take it away.
Thank you guys for inviting me on tonight. So unlike Kevin, I love structure. When I first started, I was throwing all these different things and all these new tools. And I was like, a little overwhelmed because I was like, how am I going to put this all in place? How am I going to be able to successfully use all these tools in the right way? And I remember when I started, I talked to one of my mentors and I started doing like this flashcard system, which totally did not work for me. I did it for about, I don't know, like 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, this isn't working. I cannot bring these flashcards everywhere I go. So I kind of sat down and I looked through all the tools that my coach had shared with me. And I was like, how can I structure my business to fit best for me? I love the, what do you call it? The client and coach tracker, the Google Doc. I like that because I can have it on my phone and on my computer. I use old school agenda. I write everything down. That's how I keep track of all my clients and when their first day is, when I need to follow up with them. And that just works for me. And I know when I was talking to Kevin this past week, we talked about really suggesting all these things to our new coaches, but really letting them kind of figure out their own way. Because if we pound all this stuff on them and they're like, you have to use this in this way, it might not work for them and they're going to fail. Kind of like how I was at first. I was like, I have to use these flashcards. If I don't use these flashcards, I'm not following the system. But that wasn't the case. That is just how it works best for my mentor. And I had to find my way. I also learned that I really need to lean into my coach. And at first I was like, oh, I know I need to do a tip call, but is it bothering her? Like, I know she's busy. But now that I'm consistently using her, like Kevin said, like sometimes when I bring on friends or family, I don't think they listen to me the same because I will tell them all the same things that Lindsay does. But as soon as they hear her say it, it's like, hello, I am listening now. And then they start following the rules like they're supposed to. So really lean into your coaches if you can. And when you bring on new coaches, give them all of these tools that we have, but ultimately let them figure out how they best can use it, so that we can all keep building as a team and growing strong every day.
Yes, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions for Paige? Paige, how long have you been coaching now?
I've only been coaching since November, so I'm still a newbie, but I love all the tools that y'all have. And I really, if anyone wants to talk to me about organization and structure, I'm all about it. So.
So,
Don't make fun of me.
so we were talking about this before, and Paige is this person that loves structure, and we are opposites. I did not love structure as a new coach. I actually fought it a lot, and then finally started realizing how important it was. And it's one of those things like, I don't know about you guys, but when you start a program, you kind of learn this whole thing about being this person that now you have to give up some of the things that you want to do to reach your ultimate goal, and you have to do some of the things that you don't want to do to reach your goal. So one of those things I didn't want to do was to embrace structure. But I can tell you that the more I embrace structure, even coming home from like working a full-time job and starting to embrace that structure, it has really helped me so much, to be just less scattered and be less like on the fly and actually have some calm and quiet time. Whereas before I was just constantly like, go, go, go. So thank you, Paige. Really awesome having you share, especially as a new coach that has embraced that structure and is growing a business and really helping a lot of people already. It's really important. Anybody, before we go on, anybody wants to ask Paige a question, just hop off. Are you good? How about no? Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Paige.
You're welcome.
All right. Continuing the slideshow here, we're going to hop into just some more structural things, right? So this is kind of, I wanted to really spend some time to talk about the why behind structure, because once again, as an entrepreneur and someone that resists structure, I am not the type of person that responds well to someone telling me what to do. So why now, or why should you consider embracing structure? Obviously, it's going to grow your business, but that's kind of like for somebody saying to me, like, step 1, embrace structure. Step 2, Step 3, grow your business. And they just skip all that middle part and like don't explain the whole thing. So I need to understand why. So I'm explaining why to you. So 2 big things with being an Optavia coach are competence and confidence, right? And really what happens is as you travel through in this journey of a health coach, competence starts creating confidence. And so as you come on as a new coach, let's just face it, you're not competent. You don't know all of the answers to the questions, even the basic stuff. And that's okay, because what ends up happening is that puts a lot of fear in people, especially if they feel like they're all alone. Like they are in this, like you bought your coach kit, good luck. Try to get 5 clients before in the 30 days because that's going to give you $100 extra, but you got to figure that out all by yourself. That doesn't sound fun to me. That is like, maybe some of you like a challenge, but I like to have someone to kind of show me how to do things. So how do you become competent as a health coach? Well, first of all, you learn from your coach. That's why we do this apprentice style training where we are doing the calls with you. We are doing the coach client message with you. So you're kind of learning how to respond to these things. Because once you see that model and you work that model and then you see how it helps you as a coach and it helps your clients, you start doing that model over and over again in your business. And then that's what happens with your coaches as you bring them on and your coaches, and it builds out this beautiful model. And guess what happens? Your sponsoring goes way up. So not only are you bringing on more clients, but then you're bringing on more coaches in your business because people are having a good time. People don't feel alone. People don't feel like an island. And that really empowers them to go out and get America healthy, which is our purpose here, right? Beyond that, there's so many tools. So what we always want to remember is number 1 is team coaching, because that is, directly what's happening right now. And I'm giving you what you need right now. If you have someone that's really hungry for growth and really wants to expand on their coaching practice fast, then obviously there's all these other tools like Optavia Learn, encouraging them to be on team times, encouraging them to join boot camps, reading your Habits of Health book. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to be honest for a minute. And as a new client, I did not read my Habits of Health book. I just own it right now. It was not a priority for me. I was rocking 5 and 1 and dropping weight really quickly. So I was like, I'll read the book later. Well, let me tell you, as a new coach then who really felt inadequate, even though I did have my mentors there helping me, I was like, what do I need to do? And then a light bulb went off. Read the book that came with the program, right? Read that book, because that is where you end up coaching from, because all these habits of health that we're trying to teach someone, that's what really matters. That's the meat of what we're doing here, is getting people healthy by teaching them one healthy habit at a time. They come from the book, and in addition to that is getting certified, obviously. So you do want to be a super coach. And so let's talk about what that looks like. So just to make sure there's a clear line here, do not be a superhero, but you can be a super coach. And those two things are very different. A super coach is all in. So what does a super coach look like? An all-in Optavia coach leads with your personal health. So if you're not currently on your health journey, pursuing better, and I'm not trying to say like you are in fat burning, you're tearing it up, but if you aren't and you have a significant amount of weight to lose, consider getting back on 5 and 1 and getting on your journey, because you are leading with your health. And that makes you not only inspire people, but it also gives you content, and it also gives you a clear mind, and it empowers you because you feel amazing when you are on your health journey. And let's just put a little extra disclaimer out here. If you're at your maintenance goal for your healthy weight, that's great. How are your finances? How is your healthy mind? You are still pursuing better in those areas, even if you have your personal health completely where you want it. Because here with Optavia, we do the trilogy of health. It's not just healthy body and deuce out. It's healthy body, healthy mind, healthy finances. And we can all be pursuing better in any of those areas. So take personal responsibility and do it. And I promise you won't regret it ever. So even it's just say like, the odds are you're going to grow your business, but even if that 1 in 1 billion chance that you don't grow your business because you led with your personal health, you're still going to be healthier. So there's no lose situation with your personal health. And work smarter, not harder. And what we mean by that really is leaning back into your team coaching model, and then taking the resources we have as a company and utilizing those fully. So don't isolate yourself. Don't become that island of a coach that has to do everything and be everything for your clients, because that is working harder, not smarter. Commit to touch your business every day. So what does that look like? It looks like you are pulling up your Optavia Connect regularly. You're seeing, the business growth that's happening in there. You're seeing the orders that are going through. You know what's happening in your business. On top of that, you're posting regularly. If you were on the call last night with Doug and Tia, they gave perfect examples of those action steps, making connections. Even if you aren't the type of person that posts every day on Facebook, which I don't know why you wouldn't, but say you're not, then there's these other ways to touch your business every day. Focus on personal growth. And I'm going to pop some books up here in a minute to give you some examples. Personal development is huge. Becca Tenner said this not long ago. If you don't know who she is, she's an amazing leader. Getting ready to start a boot camp that we're gonna invite all the senior coaches and above to join. But she said Optavia is actually a personal development company that is disguised as weight loss, because our true goal here is to help you grow as a person, is to become a better person so you can better serve humankind. We just usually all start that with our personal health and trying to get to a healthy weight. But truly, personal development and personal growth is what Optavia is about. It's about becoming the best version of you. And don't compare your journey. And I know y'all hear this, and I know we teach this to our clients, but the truth is this applies to your coach journey as well. So if you have been guilty of this in the past, it's okay. Give yourself grace, move forward, but don't look at someone else's coach business and go, I started coaching 5 months before them and they already have outranked me, or they already make more money than I do, or they have more clients than I do. It doesn't matter. You don't know what they're doing. You don't know what kind of skill sets that they came into the business with that have helped them. You don't know what kind of circle of influence they have. Maybe they had 4,000 friends on Facebook and you only have 500. Like they are reaching a broader audience from day one. So don't do that comparison, because it doesn't help anyone. It's not going to help you grow your business by comparing it to someone else. The only time this might help you a shred is to just kick yourself in the butt to work harder, and smarter. But just don't get in the comparison game, because what ends up happening is usually you deflate from that and you don't. And if you're not all in right now, ask yourself why. There's usually 3 things. So everybody see the screen. If you have one of these things or that you need to focus on right now, put it in the chat. Put a 1 if it's mindset, put a 2 if it's a skill, put a 3 if it's an action, or a 4 if it's all of them. And just to kind of break that down while you're thinking about that, if you need a little more information. So if there's a mindset that's there, it might have been something you brought in from another business. It might be, just some concepts you had before you came into Optavia. That's a mindset that's holding you back. Like you were in sales or something before you became Optavia, and now you're scared of doing sales with Optavia. That's a mindset that's holding you back. Or you're a private person and you have this mindset that you can't share stuff out loud. That's a mindset that's holding you back. If it's a skill, it's something you're doing that may need a little tweaking. And this is, where those, like we've had coaches come on and they were like, oh, I got this. I'll just do my own health assessments from day one. And look, that's great. If your business isn't growing the way you want it to, it may just be that skill that needs a little tweaking, and that's just something you can reach up to your business mentor and say, hey, can you do my next health assessment with me? I'd love to see how you're doing it now, just to kind of get a fresh set of, the way you do it, a fresh set of eyes, a fresh set of ears to hear, you do it, and try to tweak those skills a little bit. And if it's an action, it's something that's stopping you from doing work. So, a lot of us come into that with something going on. And I'm going to look at the chat in a minute, but let me share these books. These are just some examples of personal development books. I've read some of a few of these. I'm not a big reader, but I can tell you that there's value in all these books. And really all I did, there's no secret here, but I pulled up, I just Googled the top 10 books for personal development, and these were some of those. And maybe some of you have read these. Oops. And so you can give some advice or something on them later, but these are all some great examples to start if you don't know where to start. This is something else to consider. You may have to give up the good for the great, right? So when I said, ask yourself some questions, think about these questions. So this might be something you want to screenshot, because I'm going to blow through this really fast. But is what I'm doing, or is what I'm currently doing, going to help me achieve my dreams? Where is the hole in your plan? Is it the skill, the mindset, or the actions? What do I need to do to continue, or what do I need to continue to do? So what are you doing well that you need to continue to do and to continue to prosper in? What do I need to stop doing? So this is one of those things, like maybe if you're spending 2 hours on Netflix at night, maybe you should consider stopping that, because you're just taking time away from your business. And what can you delegate? These are little things, especially as you start growing your business and you have the income. What we have found is as you grow your income, you learn to take the money. So if you have extra money, and you buy back time. And how do you do that? You pay someone to mow your grass. You pay someone to clean your house. You pay for some childcare if you have little children running around. That's how you buy back time, because time you can't get more of, right? There's not more. You can't just go buy time. But what you can do is you can delegate things out, or you can hire someone to come in and do some of the things that you're doing that aren't serving your business right now, because it's just for a season, right? And remember the 11th commandment here, which is thou shalt not kid thyself. So don't think you can do everything. It's a myth. It's a farce. You will not be able to do everything and grow an amazing business, or as an amazing business as you could have. Here's some more questions. What do you want? Or these are you asking yourself, right? Why do you want it? When do I want it? What am I willing to do to get it? And am I willing to make short-term sacrifices for long-term gain? So once again, this is you going, okay, am I willing to give up some stuff now because of what I want? Why do I want it? And when do I want it? So you're looking at a time frame here. You're not just looking at what you want to achieve, but you're looking at a time frame for when you want to achieve it by. And what are you willing to do to get it? So some of that means giving up the things that you are doing now that aren't really serving that purpose. And then maybe also doing some things that you really don't want to do to help you achieve those goals. So start thinking about these things. And this is the last slide here, and then we'll pop off and use some questions if you got some. Excuse me. I want you to look at this for a minute. I'm going to take a sip of water. Okay. So these are some high sponsoring activities, right? This is what you're doing with your time. And I just really wanted you to kind of look at this and see like the time investment here for maybe what you want to achieve. You know, with Optavia, there's no pushing, there's no, you have a quota to hit, you have not, like, these are just based on what your goals are. So this is based on making like a FIBC, so like $3,500 a month, up to like 5,000 or 6,000. So 2 hours a week client support, that's like 2 days where you have an hour block each. 30 minutes a week on follow-up, so like a follow-up Friday type of thing, like following up with some potential clients. 2 hours a week training, and that's including Monday nights, Wednesday nights, and a boot camp if you're on one. 10 minutes a week pulse check. So this is what we're saying, like touching your business, right? So like looking and connect, and or looking at your map, or looking at your list of, you know, clients that you know are going to order, or that potential clients that you wanted to help start on program this month. Just do a little 10-minute, like, okay, where am I at? You know, if you had a goal to sponsor 4 clients this month and you sponsored 2, you know, just take a 10-minute that week or whatever and check and see where you're at. An hour a week connection time. So this is like building relationships, going into Facebook, texting people that are on your heart, that type of thing. 2 hours a week sharing program. So this is, you know, setting aside time to do health assessments, and, you know, talking to people in person, going to get a coffee with someone and talk to them about program. An hour a week with Coach Explorers. So just realistically, it takes like 15-20 minutes to do a Coach Explorer. So, you know, setting aside time for those and knowing that you're going to invest that amount of time, and then maybe an hour a week on celebration calls. So the total of all that is about 10 hours a week. And if you do 10 hours a week and you make $3,500 a month, is that worth it to you? Just so you know, that's $87.50 an hour. That's pretty good, right? That's definitely something that I would take. So I just wanted you to see that time thing broken down, because it is so important to understand that if you just invest a little bit more time here, what's possible, you know. And if you're investing an hour a week right now, or 2 hours a week right now, and you really want your business to grow, consider finding 30 more minutes to spend on it, you know. And is it worth it for you to spend 30 more minutes to achieve that goal that you want to achieve? The most important thing is not just saying, I'm going to spend 30 more minutes on my business a week, and then setting no plan for it, or like not blocking it off in your calendar and not doing anything intentional to really help you use those 30 minutes wisely. Because we all know that being intentional is the most important thing. So I see everybody. Actually, I'm going to screenshot. Oops. Oh, where'd y'all go? Hold on. I'm going to screenshot this so I can follow up with the little poll I did. So does anyone, that's it, we're done. So does anyone have any questions about anything we talked about tonight? Just come off mute, or drop your question in the chat for everybody. It doesn't matter. I'm going to go into gallery view here so we can see everybody. I'm looking at you all, and you have questions. You have stirring questions in your mind. You are eager to grow. Come on, Gail. What you got?
Well, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Our way.
I struggle with structure because of my job and my evenings. We have Monday night call, we have Tuesday night call, we have a Wednesday night call. I have community group. I mean, I just feel like all my evenings are already blocked out because I've got to have time to fix dinner and clean up dinner and do some housework.
Right.
So I really struggle, and it forces me to have to do things on the weekend. And then when I have to go out of town or I have family, I mean, then that blows it for the weekend. So, you know, I do get up early to do a post. I do work. I do try to touch during work when I can, but it's just it's hard.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, it's hard.
No, look, totally get it. Like when I started coaching, I worked full time. I did weekends, but I worked full time, and Kelly worked full time. So during the week, it was me and the kids, and on weekends, it was her and the kids. So we never had just time where it was us to actually sit down and block something. So I get it. And I don't want to say that to make you be like, I have kids, so I'm busier than you, because I know that's not true. We're all busy, and we all own our own busy. Like it's different for everybody. So I'm just to be real honest. What I did in your situation, I prioritized things. If Monday night wasn't a priority for me in that season, and I knew that 30 minutes was better spent on client support, then I did client support, and I would watch that call later. It's recorded. But that's a very personalized thing. So like, excuse me, I knew that I had bukus of resources for training. And I had my mentor. So like if there was a skill or like a mindset or something like that I knew I needed help with, I knew that I could reach out and help talk that through with my mentor. That I didn't necessarily need those things from the trainings, because the trainings are usually very transactional, right? And mindsets and stuff like that are more transformational. So it depends, right, on where you need to shift your priority to in your business. Because if you still need some of those skills, then the trainings are more important, right, than have a mentorship. So if you feel like you got the skills down and you know how to do health assessments and you know how to do all these little, following up with clients, like the little skill parts of this, then personal development time is going to be more important for you. You know what I mean? And then it's moving your priority to where you need it in that season. And I know for me, just sharing part of like my personal stuff is when you have, ebbs and flows in your business, or when you have a really busy season, sometimes your client support and your coach support gets priority over your personal development and your training and stuff like that, because you only have so much bandwidth. And right. Now is a perfect time to talk about that, right? Because there's all this stuff now. There's all these different things. There's Monday with Dr. Anderson, followed by Monday training, Wednesday habits of health, followed by a Wednesday transformation story. And then we are having Tuesday night boot camps. There's Saturday morning boot camp. I mean, there's all these things. And just know that you only have so much bandwidth, and just to focus the bandwidth in the areas that you need to the most to reach your priority. You know what I mean? So if your priority right now is bringing on new clients and new coaches, that's where you're going to shift to, and you're going to drop some of the other stuff if you don't need it. Now, if you need that, I'm talking to everybody. So if you don't need the mentorship to bring that on, you just need the time. You know what I mean? That's the difference. If you need the mentorship to help you understand how to do it better, then you're going to have to carve out some time for the mentorship, and drop a Dr. A call on Monday night. And this is recorded, right. So I'm like this, but this is real talk. I mean, if you work full time, you only have so much time. Or even if you don't work full time, if you have families that you take care of, and all, I mean, it's just the way it is. It's finding things and making them a priority.
Got it.
It's like, this is an example, and this is not you, but it just makes me think about this. But think about your clients that are on 5-1, and they didn't have time to plan a meal for the weekend. Did they really not have time, and that's why they got off track? or did they choose not to take the time to plan a meal for their Saturday?
Right.
But then they got off track because they didn't have it on time. So it's just that thing, like they should have prioritized, and we don't tell people what they should do, but like just talking out loud, they should have prioritized 30 minutes during the week to make a meal for Saturday.
Right.
Because they knew Saturday was going to be tough because they had family coming, or they had, like what all this stuff. And most of the time, if you're like me anyway, our clients don't tell us until after they failed. They don't say, hey, I got some family coming this weekend. Can you help me with this? Like, hey, man, like this is the most easy, basic lean and green right here. Or, are you going to be in a city? Are you going out of town? Like grab this dining out guide and pick up something that's on plan. I mean, and they just don't think about it because they're just like us. They only have so much bandwidth. And once they have reached their bandwidth because there's family in town or they have some other distraction going on, their mind doesn't even move to, I can eat out on program. It goes, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just going to have to get by with whatever Aunt Susie has at the house, and then they go and they mess up their fat burn. So it's all that same stuff with our coaching business.
Got it.
Nice. It was a great question though. And it's important. It is. And and this is where this training is so important because structure is all that. And it's doing the things in structure. And this is a little bit of the pot calling the kettle black because I am not the person that does client support on set days. Like I'm just starting to shift my clients to that because I still have these hero coach things in my mind. And like, I'm off, so I can do client support every day. And that's just not the best way, and it's not what's best for our clients. Because if I think about people like you that are working full time in coaching, if you think you have to do client support every day, you're probably not going to become a coach. But if after 3 weeks, 4 weeks on program, your clients are going to move to once a day, follow-ups, then you're like, oh, I can coach once a day. You know what I mean? So we think about not only what we're doing, but what we're teaching, not even intentionally, but we're teaching it. So it's so important to embrace those things because of what happens as we start like replicating out and your ripple effect happens. That's a great question. Anybody else got questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. Beth, Tracy, Diane, Mom, Renee. No? All right, well, we're going to wrap it up then. Wait, okay.
Hey, I have a question. I know it's kind of off topic, but I noticed that you saw that on one of your slides that Optavia offers behavioral health support. And I actually didn't know that. And I was wondering what that entailed. Like, what kind of support is that?
Yeah, so we have Nick Fry, who is a behavioral support specialist. So I always mess this up, but I believe he's a psychiatrist. He might be a psychologist. He's one of the two that you actually can reach out to. You can't call him, but he has email. So if you have a client that's having a lot of behavioral things that they can't seem to break that cycle, or they can't, fix, that you're working with them, then you can email Nick, and he will help you with some like real, actual like psychiatry stuff. Like what I've done in the past is email and CC my client on it, so that way Nick like gives it back to both of you, just like you can do with nutrition support. And he's awesome. And if you've seen him, you've probably seen him in the Agents of Transformation page. You just didn't realize that's who that was. But he does, like, even for us, like behavioral support, like he does calls and helps. He's done like some live videos in the Agents of Transformation to help us like with our client support and with like our coach support, and try to like handle things on that emotional intelligence and that type of thing. Does that help?
That does. I didn't even realize it. So I've been coaching for over a year now, and I don't know how I missed that. So thank you. I appreciate that.
No, it's all good. And let me know if you need the email if you can't find it. But I think it's in the coach. It's in like Coach Answers if you put in behavioral support.
Thank you.
Yes, you're so welcome. Thank you for asking a question. Anyone else? Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to see you all in convention, if not before. I know I'm going to see Diane before. So the others, hopefully I'll get to see y'all at some point in the next couple months. If not, then I will see you all at convention. And thanks for hanging in there on the training tonight. Hope it was beneficial and helped. I'll have the recording up in a little bit, and encourage your team. If they weren't on the call tonight, this is something I'm trying to start doing too. If they weren't here and this helps them, or even if you're not sure, like reach out to them and say, hey, I know you weren't on the call tonight, missed you being on there, because it's telling them that you care. You care that they didn't show up, and not that it's guilting them into showing up, but it's saying that you notice, because sometimes I think as coaches, we bring on coaches and then we get them started, and then like, at least I am, so I'm sorry if I did it to you, but like I forget because I think you got it, and I forget that you still need a coach too. You still need someone to care about you, and to show you that I care that you are going through something, or I care that you're not around, because I know that what your goals are align with you being here, So reach out, even if it's just to send them the link for the training and say, hey, this is what I got out of this training. I really, needed to hear this, or thought this might help you, blah, blah, blah. If you need some examples, message me and I'll give you some. But reach out to them and encourage them, because sometimes that little message of encouragement is what they needed to hear this week, to help them really go through a tough time or something. So anyway, I love you guys, and hope you all have a great night, and we'll see you next week if you're on for the training, same time, same place. Talk to you then.